This holiday season, there are more gadgets, apps, and high-level technology for sale than ever before. Marketers want you to be on the cutting edge of everything, from Ultra HD TVs to phones that have more bells and whistles than anyone really needs, to cars that park themselves and let you listen to music and podcasts from around the world. Even after holiday gift-giving is over, we'll be hearing commercials about the next big thing. Are we obsessed with the future? Are we just too concerned about being on the cutting edge of whatever? Hal Nidvietsky thinks so. He's the author of the book Trees on Mars, Our Obsession with the Future.
I have nothing against the future. What I object to is this idea that in our society today, right now, we are giving people the task of owning the future or getting to the future first, innovating the future, disrupting the present for the sake of inventing the new future. And this is the rhetoric that's going around right now, and it's in fact very damaging to the present, which ultimately I think is going to lead us to a far worse future than we would otherwise have.
Nidvietsky says that not everyone is enamored of the future or even has time to consider it, what with the problems and hardships they face here in the present.
We have this incredible rhetoric in our society today about seizing the future and how we're on the cusp of this amazing future. And more people are struggling to make do to see that bright new horizon amidst a mountain of debt and precarious labor and everything else. So this is part of my analysis of this trend. You know, we're telling people in education, government is embracing this, corporations are certainly embracing this, led by the biggest corporations in the world, which are now our technology corporations. All these entities are telling us to go and seize the future and become change agents, when practically we really don't have the resources to do that. We're not empowered to do that outside of the rhetoric, and it's kind of driving us into a very anxious, dark place.
Big corporations have a large stake in the future and of making sure everyone possible is on the Own the Future bandwagon.
Obviously, if Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook says, you know, we're on the cusp of this brand new future and we need to make sure that the internet is in every corner of the world because that is the future, there's a big benefit for Facebook being available in parts of the world where it's not currently that accessible. But we have to ask ourselves, is it that important to have high-speed internet in rural Africa when you're looking at parts of the country where 90% of the people don't have access to clean water?
And if you're not totally taken with the idea that everyone has to embrace the future and technology, well, you're just not with it or old-fashioned. Peter Andrew Sacco says it's all about fitting in. Sacco is the author of The Internet Apocalypse, The World Without Internet.
If you look at a lot of these commercials on TV, and it's just like you have to fit in, be one of them, or you're going to be left out, especially with smartphones and the tablet. So what it is so many people are now communicating this way through technology, whether it be internet, cell phones, or whatever, that the people that aren't doing it are definitely feeling left out, and in some cases totally being left out, especially when this is now becoming a required part of your life, especially in many jobs. If you're not internet savvy, you don't stand a chance.
It's imperative that everyone fit in these days, and perhaps that's why younger people are so quick to snatch up the newest gadgets and download the latest apps. It's certainly why the internet and social media have become so popular. Everyone has to know what their friends and family are doing every hour of the day, it seems. Sacco says that if the internet somehow shut off, we'd all be plunged way back into the 20th century.
It would be really interesting because people would actually, first of all, have to communicate verbally, face-to-face with people, which would mean making eye contact and recapturing the probably a fading away rather fast art of reading nonverbal communication, which is roughly about 75 to 80%. I think with that as well, too, you would have individuals that would have to verbally discuss their conflicts, do conflict resolution face-to-face or over a telephone versus posting it on Facebook for the masses to read first, hoping that it gets back to the person that they have the issue with. So they will then try to resolve it through all the other people online so it eventually get back to you. So it's amicably solved by all the other people knowing about it. It's kind of really interesting that it's actually happened that much. And when I was doing research for this, I actually found people breaking up, even ending marriages over Facebook or Twitter, and the other person finding out that way.
In addition to learning or relearning how to talk to one another face-to-face, Sacco says we'd have to once again become more patient with the world and each other, since we couldn't pull out our phones or tablets on the bus or while waiting in line. That is, if we could get off the internet and Wi-Fi completely. It would take a total breakdown of the communications infrastructure for some people to get off, and this worries him.
What is a real interesting thing that I have learned, being an addiction studies professor now for almost 20 years, is that they're now showing people who are hooked on texting or constantly needing to use email messaging are very similar in their brains to what is called the gambler brain, individuals that are hooked on roulette wheels and slot machines that they constantly need to check, and it's all about anticipation and arousal. So I'm believing without the internet, you'd have a lot of folks needing to substitute that level of arousal. And what we do see in addictions is when you remove one addiction where somebody has a tolerance to it, they then need to find something else. So my concern would be, what would that something else be? Would it then go into drinking and drugging for many because that's an instant relief? It removes their sense of psychological pain. It would be really interesting, which hopefully we'd never have to see that.
Of course, there are people and organizations in this world that are working on ways to keep the internet and technology going non-stop now and in the future. Nidvietsky says those large tech corporations are trying to make us believe that what comes next is what's important, that you can't stop the future and you need to be part of it if you want to succeed.
And at the same time, we started to see a collapse in a lot of different places, but particularly environmentally and socially in the ability to provide long-term labor, real meaningful work with real meaningful wages for enough people in North America and certainly in other countries as well. So the combination of those two things, explosive growth in one small sector, while the rest of the kind of firmament upon which we lay our society is starting to crumble, has led us to look to the future. This idea of this glorious, technologically infused future that is coming.
So how do we deal with our obsession with the future, with being connected 24/7? Nidvietsky says that we need to start thinking about the future differently for a start. He says we seem to think there's an end point to it, where technology solves all of our problems, people live happy and very long lives, and everything is wonderful.
We need to really question this and start saying there is no end point of future. We can't own the future. We can't get to the end of future. And if we pursue the end of future as it is currently being pursued, we will become something other than humanity. We will destroy humanity. To get to the end of future, we have to destroy the whole idea of future and change and optimism and hope.
Nidvietsky says we need to look closely at what we call innovation these days. All of our technology, such as tablets, cell phones, and the like, aren't really innovations at all.
Innovation historically is understood as the introduction of something new. So much of what we see today is not the introduction of something new. We invented television, we invented typewriters, we invented the telephone, and now we're just packaging these things in different ways and putting them in different formats, letting us walk around with them, and all these things are happening. The real innovations generally come from ideas about how we can organize our society, ideas like the idea that all people are equal. That was a tremendous breakthrough in human thought. So those are real innovations, and we have to get back to that and look at that very carefully as something that we're much more critical about.
Sacco says that being on the internet too much can be stressful, hurt relationships, and lead to addiction. He says that getting away from it for a while is not only relaxing, it can greatly improve your quality of life.
I think if you gradually took yourself away from it and did it in moderation, you'd feel so much better. You're not dependent upon it, and you're seeing that there's a great life out there. And I put this out there for anybody who's listening. How many of you have actually savored the beauty of this autumn? The colorful leaves, the beautiful El Nino weather that we've had, Or have you been glued to your computer screen and go, oh my God, it's snow on the ground now. When did that all come to be? And I think that's part of the problem. Our people are just forgetting to live their everyday lives and enjoy it. And I think there's a big difference between existing and enduring your life versus getting out there and enjoying life.
Neither of our guests is saying that technology, the internet, and thinking about the future are bad. It's just that they need to be part of our lives rather than the point of our lives. You can find out how we got so obsessed with thinking about the future and find more ways to work harder to make things good in the present in Hal Nedviatsky's book, Trees on Mars, available in stores and online. He invites listeners to his website at treesonmars.net. You can learn more about Peter Andrew Sacco and his book, The Internet Apocalypse, on his site at petersacco.com. For more information about all of our guests, log on to our site at viewpointsonline.net. You can find archives of past programs there and on iTunes and Stitcher. I'm Gary Price.
For children to become successful in life, it takes literacy and education. Now is a time when you can have a positive impact on those who need it most. To help deliver the gift of reading to less fortunate children, the UPS Store has launched its annual holiday drive for the Toys for Tots literacy program. Donations can be made at the UPS Store location near you or online. 100% of every donation helps buy a book for a child in need in your community, according to the UPS Store president, Tim Davis.
In 2008, the UPS Store and the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation partnered to launch the Toys for Tots literacy program, designed to give children the opportunity to read and communicate effectively so they can compete academically and succeed in life. Thanks to the support of our communities, we have raised more than $3 million to purchase books for children across the country.
Make donations at the UPS Store or by visiting toysfortots.org/literacy. Every dollar helps. To find the UPS Store near you, visit theupsstore.com.
Medicare and their list of suppliers continue to change, so if you have diabetes, it may affect where you get your testing supplies. But rest assured that your number one doctor-recommended one-touch testing supplies are always covered by Medicare Part B at your local pharmacy and approved mail-order suppliers. Dr. Brian Levy, Chief Medical Officer at LifeScan, maker of one-touch products.
Some mail-order suppliers may offer a limited selection of diabetes testing supplies. They may try to switch you to a different brand, saying your current products are no longer covered. That's just not true. You are entitled to continue using the products you know and trust and that have been recommended by your healthcare professional at no additional cost.
Remember, you have a choice. Stay with the number one brand used by Medicare patients. For questions about coverage or where to get your one-touch testing supplies, call 1-866-621-6216 or visit www.onetouch.com/Medicare. Medicare Part B is not a guarantee of coverage and payment, which may be subject to coinsurance, deductible, and patient eligibility requirements.
'Tis a season of good feelings, holiday get-togethers, and family gatherings. We want to look our best at holiday parties, but with all the running around, sometimes it's hard to take the time for ourselves. Celebrity hairstylist Christine Simons says expert help is minutes away.
In just 5 minutes, you can get a classic updo perfect for any holiday party using a jeweled headband and a few bobby pins. Using the EcoTools styler and smoother hairbrush, you can style your mane and dry hair 20% faster, so you have more time to spend at the party.
Beauty blogger Tenny Panosian says it's also essential to use the right tools.
Using the right makeup brushes can give you a perfectly polished appearance without taking tons of time. Achieve a classic holiday look using the EcoTools 4-piece Beautiful Complexion Set and the Festive and Flawless Face Set for something head-turning.
For how-to videos, tricks, and tips on great holiday looks, visit ecotools.com. That's ecotools.com.